noticing that little like difference because it just makes it look so out of place. I thought the belt itself was awesome, and it has no reason to be changed at all. It looks great. And then you do that, and now it just kind of like, it throws me off because there's just that one little piece of red and everything else is purple anyway. What was the point of doing that?
Right.
That's WWE for you, man.
Red streak going across purple.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Going back to the pick, I'll take Neville.
Yeah. As you should.
Yeah, that's fair. He's got a good thing going right now with the belt. Just completely destroying anybody that even looks at the belt funny, and even looks at him funny. Jack Gallagher, his time is coming. I think. I'll say maybe SummerSlam. If the cruiserweights last that long with the belt, he'll give it time. He's still a little new in my book. I don't mean like new, but he's
right. New to the WWE universe, new to the casual fans that might not follow outside of WWE. Mm-hmm. But he's also something different. He's a breath of fresh air in a sense. But I do feel like the mainstream kind of fan isn't really sure what to think of him yet. Mm-hmm. Obviously, so far he's been used as more of a comedy act and things like that. But obviously the skill is there. But for me, I don't think he's catching on as much as WWE expected him to after the Cruiserweight Classic. Mm-hmm. I think they thought that, obviously that's more of the hardcore fan, more, not just the WWE fan. But I think he did well in that. And since then, he hasn't really been used properly. And that's just a thing that WWE does with cruiserweights, with that kind of style. They WWE it down, they dumb it down, they water it down, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. But as far as this match goes, there's no reason for me to go against Neville here. Especially, obviously you're setting up Austin Aries versus Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship at WrestleMania. So, going that way, obviously Neville has to keep it, and then you'll start to see, the story build a little more, as we have the last couple weeks before WrestleMania. Already they've been kind of planting the seeds for it, where you have Austin Aries come out and, do the interviews and stuff like that after the matches, and usually it's with Neville, and Neville goes extreme heel on him, and, it's just going to lead to something where finally, they end up going at it. So I'm also going to go with Neville here, just because I think it'll be a good match. I've actually really, really enjoyed heel Neville. I think it's something that, he really, really thrives with. I think he's one of those guys that is a special talent that, he, no matter what he does, he still keeps the same kind of moveset, doesn't really change much about him, but it's just like the little details that he throws in there now. Just, I don't know, just the cockiness, and even just the way, like, the beard itself. I will say this. When he returned with the beard right away, I was like, oh, he's going heel. Mm-hmm.
I think it's something that a lot of us didn't know what we wanted.
Right. And then now we have it, and I'm like, I absolutely love this. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Neville. Neville is actually a favorite here, minus 460 to Gallagher's plus 320. Okay. Pretty decent spread right there. So, mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, like I said, a lot of this stuff for Fastlane is basically just going through the motions to start setting up things for WrestleMania. So, mm-hmm. In that sense, again, leading towards Neville versus Austin Aries at WrestleMania. Obviously, Neville has to keep the title for that to happen. So, right. Yeah, I'm also going to go with Neville here.
Perfect. So let's move in to the Universal Championship match. I know. Kevin Owens versus Goldberg. So you and I were talking before the show about where we should put some bonus points. Yeah. You came up with one. And it was the, what did you say, over-under for...
Yeah. So basically, I was trying to figure out a number on how long this match will last, like, time-wise. The first number that actually jumped out to me, obviously, was it a minute 26 seconds? I believe that was the number. That was the time of the match that Goldberg just absolutely destroyed Brock Lesnar. So I was kind of thinking about that one in mind, but I feel like that's just too short. Mm-hmm. I know you countered with 5 minutes, and I think that's a decent number because it's a really hard one to pick over or under there. So I would say we should go over under 5 minutes.
Okay. I'll go first. Sure. I've got. Because I know the programs that are going to be set. It's going to be Goldberg and Brock Lesnar and then Kevin Owens and Y2J at WrestleMania.
Yep.
But the question is, does Kevin have the belt when he walks into Mania? That's the question here. Does the Goldberg Brock Lesnar match need a belt to make it special for the third time?
I don't think it does, but I think, looking at the way business is run, especially, with Vince McMahon, he is going to try to load up as much as he can on that main event. Even though, honestly, a lot of people, and I am one of them, I don't want to see the title anywhere in that. It doesn't need to. That matchup alone is already bigger, basically, than the title.
And the other thing that bothers me about that is they're both part-timers.
Sure. So you're basically gonna have a full timer lose to a part timer who is then gonna lose to a part timer and then take the belt away for a couple months while he is part time. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, because something that I have been actually really, really wanting to see recently, and it's something that is done a lot outside of WWE, is being able to focus on your secondary titles as main events. Mm-hmm. So if you do have something where you do have a part timer who isn't around to defend the title on every single pay-per-view, at the very least, then it makes it more interesting and a little bit easier for you to book, let's say, an Intercontinental or United States Championship main event, and be able to actually give that 30 minutes or so to actually really focus on the talent that's in that, and also it helps to make your title more prestigious, I guess, if you want to call it that. But it's something that New Japan does very, very well. You don't always see the heavyweight title defended. Obviously, they have a million championships over there. But this one of the last ones that I actually watched, I didn't actually get to watch Honor Rising this past week, and I have to catch up on that. But before that, though, the New Beginning in Osaka was actually main evented or co-main evented by the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, and then the main event, final on the card. Was actually Tetsuya Naito taking on Michael Elgin for the Intercontinental Championship. Mm-hmm. So it was nice to actually, see, a secondary title, if you will, like to actually be brought to the forefront and main event, because I think it makes it feel more important then. And then when you actually have other matches like later on, it just feels like it's a bigger match than it would have been. So, honestly, if it did come down to that, if obviously Goldberg, if he wins the title and then goes to Mania and then Lesnar wins it, Goldberg goes away, and then Lesnar kind of takes some time off or whatever, at the very least, the silver lining, I guess, in the whole situation would be that you could actually focus on other talents other than those guys. So
yeah.
But
that being said, I'm gonna go with Goldberg. Oh, God.
Did you throw up a little bit in your mouth when you said that?
Because it's like, I know WWE logic. I know.
Yeah.
This is where it's heading. I knew it was going to be something like this as soon as Goldberg said that I have one last title run in me. I knew it was going to be something like this. And, God damn it, I hate it when I'm right.
Right.
I've got Goldberg.
All right. Goldberg, over or under 5 minutes?
Over. Reason being,
Over.
I think Jericho's going to interfere in the match.
Okay. I'm also going to go with Goldberg here again. As much as I absolutely hate to say that, just because, but it just is, man. It sucks because, like, I mean, we were talking about this last night or whatever at a buddy's place, and we did notice that Kevin Owens has had this title since August 29th. Mm-hmm. Now that's a pretty decent title run for his first, like Universal title, WWE title.
A main event title,
for his first main title run.
Yeah.
It's not a bad run. It just kind of sucks in a sense that it's bittersweet to me that, this is how it's going to end. Mm-hmm. And I've never been a Goldberg fan. I've never been a Goldberg supporter. I do not make that secret. I didn't like him in WCW. Thought he was highly overrated there. And then even when he came into WWE, he didn't really do much there. And then he left the business, talked so much trash, and all of a sudden it's like he comes back when there's a paycheck. I get you can say the thing that, he wants to come back so his son can see him in the ring and see him as that again. And he says he wants to come back to be the superhero to the kids, but it's just all a bunch of bullshit, man. It's right. Literally, he's coming back for the paycheck, and then as soon as that's over, he's out. Right. And I can't stand that. I've never been a big fan of having part-timers come back just so you can draw the casual fan in. I get it, though. It's good business sense because they already have guys, like me, you, all of our friends, all of our, that are fans, they already have us hooked. So no matter what, we're watching the product. No matter if it's good or bad, we're going to stick through it. But you need to get that casual fan that actually comes out and, they remember Goldberg from way back in the day, so maybe they'll check it out now because he's back. But as far as it goes, I've never been one to actually like a part-timer coming back and be in the title picture. Mm-hmm. They can come back and have big matches and dream matches and things, but you don't need to put the title on them because their names and their legacies are already bigger. So by having it go this way, I was very disappointed. I mean, even when Goldberg first came back, I was like, shit, they're going to do something with him and I'm not going to like it. So, that's kind of right where they're at. But reluctantly, I'm going with Goldberg as well. I'm also going to say over 5 minutes, sadly. And I think my reasoning for that is just Owens is going to run a lot of this match.
Right.
I expect as soon as that bell rings for him to just dip right out of the ring first. Mm-hmm. And he's just going to go out and do that. I actually wouldn't even mind if he lasted longer than that time, if he even pointed out, like, hey, I lasted longer than Brock Lesnar. And then that's probably where it goes downhill.
Right.
I could honestly see that. Now, whether or not Jericho actually gets involved in this match is also a question. Same thing with Brock Lesnar.
Fair.
I was kind of curious about this, actually, because, obviously I could see Jericho interfering in this match and then, just causing a bit of a distraction, in which case then Owens turns around right into a spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3, we're done. Whether it be he actually, gets into the ring, gets onto the apron, or even just comes out onto the ramp, I think there will be something of him to distract that, to set them up going into WrestleMania, Jericho versus Owens. Mm-hmm. I was actually very curious to see if Lesnar actually makes an appearance after the match. So say, you have Goldberg celebrating or something, confetti's falling down, he's on the turnbuckle and stuff, and all of a sudden there's Lesnar in the ring, he turns around into a huge F5. At that point, whether or not you have Lesnar, maybe pick up the title, hold it up or whatever, that kind of thing, just so, because obviously we know that's where it's going for WrestleMania. So I'm just very curious to see if they actually really, really try to load up on setting up all of their stuff for WrestleMania. That way they can come out on Raw the next night and literally just, address everything and get everything going right away. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's going to do it for the Fastlane card. Now, before we go, as I understand it, you just wanted to get some news out for the Wisconsin Pro Wrestling Point Show coming up.
Yeah. So as far as that goes, obviously, a lot of you guys know, Saturday, April 15th, here in Stevens Point, we are having WPW Boiling Point. This is going to be the third time WPW has actually been in Stevens Point over the past year. So really, really exciting for us. Obviously, you guys know that AJ and I work, really closely with the guys over at WPW to kind of do this. And so, obviously, thanks to them for taking the risk on coming up to Stevens Point. We didn't know what we were going to get as far as a draw and stuff. We just had no idea going into it, and it's worked out pretty well. So, but as far as this upcoming show goes, man, I really, really, really wish I could break the news here, but I just can't. I have to wait on it. But some pretty big stuff happened today. So we will be announcing it relatively soon, but it's going to be so good, man. I really want people to understand that they really, really need to be there for this show. Again, we will be having another one December 9th as well. So make sure you guys keep that one on your calendar for that. That one is actually going to be really, really cool because there's some really, really fun stuff that we're going to do for that show. Something I've never seen before. So I'm really pumped for that. But as far as this one goes, though, I actually went out today. Been doing my best Paul